Is mis Kevin Byrne agus táimim ard consul ag ard consulate na Héireann in Chicago. Táim anmhuíocht do Celtic Junction agus Aonach Mhacha as an deis bheith ag Kindred i rith Seachtain na Gaeilge. I'm Kevin Byrne, Consul General at the Irish Consulate in Chicago. I'm grateful to the organisers to have the opportunity to speak to you at the opening of this Anamchairde event as part of Seachtain na Gaeilge. The linguistic and cultural friendship between Ireland and the peoples of the First Nations of America and Canada runs deep. Níl éon hampla níos fearr an cairde sin ná an Choctaw gift. Fiútar éis cé de 75 bliain is nasc iontacha é an bhronta na seo. There can be no better example of that friendship than the Choctaw gift, which even now, almost 175 years later, speaks of the shared humanity between our peoples. Is as ard mhacha iad mo chlán féin, agus mar sin tá anóthas orm an chomhpháirtíocht seo idir Aonach Mhacha agus Celtic Junction eáil. Táim cinnte leis na ceannairí cóil, dása agus idir atá ag teacht le chéile an seo go bhfuil rudaí iontach ag teacht. With my own family roots in Armagh, I'm really excited to see the partnership between Aonach Mhacha, the traditional arts programme, and Celtic Junction here in the Midwest. With such leaders in Irish music, dance and scholarship coming together, I know that there are great things ahead. Tosúlagam go bhain sibh sult as an imeacht seo. I really hope you enjoy this event. I know that I will, for there's a real richness, depth and power to hearing the stories of our connections and kindred spirits in the languages that have shaped our embrace of the world. Gur míle maith go léir.
Gaeilge le Energia, tá farú na fáilte roimh go léir higan caint seo, higan sesiún cainte seo, agus tá mé héan an seo in Aonach Mhacha, agus béimiid ag plé cursaí teangacha, agus teangachaí dúchais. This is all part of Seachtain na Gaeilge le Energia, and we're in for an interesting exchange. We have a lot to learn from each other to help contextualize our discussion. I want to tell you of one aspect of our shared history and a special affinity that the people of Ireland have for over 170 years with Native Americans. So in 1847, when the Great Hunger on Gortamore was at its height, the people of the Choctaw Nation, some of them at least, gathered together and decided to make a contribution to help the people with their unbearable plight across the Atlantic in a small island that they probably knew little about, Ireland. And what is most significant about that act of humanity is that the Choctaw Nation themselves had been swept off their own native land to the then whereabouts of Oklahoma. And that had just happened 16 years before they made this very generous donation. That would be about $5,000 in today's money. But the people of Ireland have never forgotten that huge gesture at our greatest time of need. And we have many, many similarities in terms of land, in terms of colonization, dispossession, linguistically. And I suppose the reason why we're gathered here is that we have those similarities. And we have differences, but we have similarities with many of the native peoples of America and Canada. This is going to be a co-production with our sister centre in St. Paul, Minnesota. And with that, I'm going to hand over to the very capable Lily O'Donnell, who's in Winnipeg, who's going to be our moderator for this discussion. Lily.
So my name's Lily O'Donnell. I'm an Irish-American person living in Winnipeg, Manitoba right now. I grew up in between St. Paul, Minnesota and Dublin, Ireland. So I grew up kind of trying to stumble my way through Gaelic classes in school, really dreading it, to be quite blunt. And then so I didn't pick up that much. All I really know is how to say, can I go to the bathroom? Because you had to know that to go to the bathroom. So Cadagum, Gulti on Letras. That's my Gaelic really for you. Yeah, so somehow by some weird luck of chance, I ended up going to the University of Winnipeg from St. Paul. When I got to the University of Winnipeg, I started taking all these really amazing Indigenous studies courses and really having so much of my life feel expanded and so much of my understanding of who I am and who my ancestral connections are be so enriched and deepened by learning about how my professors and my students looked at their connection to their ancestors. And I felt like I was really growing, and that connection between the spiritual and the political was finally coming together within myself. And I guess like through my own expansion, this conversation was even able to happen through me learning about Ojibwe history, Anishinaabe history, Canadian history. I would always kind of say my 2 cents about what I knew about my Irish culture and my Irish background. And I'm feeling very happy. And I think that a sign of a good life is the people you have in it. And I think I'm living a very, very good life, that I have connections to such intelligent, passionate folks. So thank you for letting me be part of this discussion. And I'm kind of just going to go into a circle of what I see. And please explain who you are, where you come from, and where you live. So Jerry, I'm going to start with you.
My name is Bonjour. My call is Legoni. My call is Tute. Ojibwe Anishinaabe. Now, Sagatong Donji. Chicken ma bejan nongo. Chicago Anishinaabe. Ojibwe Mwen. Irish Mwen. Again, the chicken. They get you now, Patrick O'Donnell. She go dancing Lily. She go me way Kitchwasa Gum King, Raymond. I introduced myself. My Ojibwe name is Bear Chief. I'm Bear Clan. I'm an Ojibwe speaking human being, and I'm from where the river widens. And I said miigwech for Patrick and his daughter Lily for actually making this possible for the invitation. And to Raymond, Agum Kinga, all the ways across the big water. So it's I think it's a special time. We're talking about, we're going to be talking about language revitalization. Language survival. So I'm happy to be here because I think it's quite important.
Patrick, do you want to go next?
It's Misha Padraig O'Donnell. It's Misha Stiora Hor Idakis on Onid Cultural in St. Paul, Minnesota. Hello, everybody. I am Patrick O'Donnell. I'm a director of education with the Celtic Junction Arts Centre. We are delighted always to be the sister center with Aonach Mhacha in Armagh. I'm delighted to be part of this panel. I grew up in Dublin, so the Irish word Dublin, the place name, translates from the Irish Dublin, meaning black pool. And we live now in Minnesota, which is a Dakota Sioux name, meaning cloudy water. So I moved from the black pool, Dublin, to the land of the cloudy water in Minnesota. And in that same sense of the memory of the spiritual and political being held in the landscape and in the place names, I welcome you to today's panel, moderated by my daughter, Lily.
Thanks. Megan, do you want to go next?
Mm-hmm. Buju, Migaze, Tibike, Gizizikwe, and Dishnakas, Mikanak, Indodem, Erikstell, and Duji. My name is the Eagle Moon Woman, and I'm from Turtle Clan. I grew up in Erikstell. Today I'm in Winnipeg. I'm Métis Anishinaabe, as well as Swedish and Scottish on my dad's side and Polish on my mom's side. I really appreciate being here.
Thank you, Megan. Darren, you want to go next?
Bonjour, ni doem agni dok. Songi ga boe makwan ndebo. Magazine do them say again tunji makwan ko email shnabe Ojibwe ndao. Ni mama onji we te say again beverly christianish na kazo. Ni mama onigi guk unjiwak saiging viola shago George Kushanish Nakazwat. Inawa and Baba Ban onji we de kish winning Reginald Blackbird kish Nakazo. Nababa Omamayan onji titipi ni zibing shago Nababa Obabayan onji kish winning. Harry Shago Albert Blackbird is Nakazawat. Gichi Minwe and Damo Oma Ayayan Nongum. So I just to translate a little bit of that long introduction that I just gave of myself. I am known as the bear that stands strong, and I'm from the Eagle clan, and I'm originally from Seachtain. I also said who my parents are. Traditionally, we're supposed to give that little gift of a little bit of genealogy so that you know who my people are. I'm from Seachtain, so was her parents, Viola and George, and I also talked about my deceased dad, who was from Isikuning, and his parents. His mom is from Rolling River, and his dad is from the same community as him. And it's kind of like a little bit of a protocol that we do and sort of ground and position ourselves. And so I also said that I'm very happy to be here today because of the topic that we're going to be discussing, language revitalization. So I want to say congrats to all of you for inviting me to speak today.
Next we'll go to you, Raymond.
Gurakiad Maigat, Lily, Tamahian and Sona Gajo of a Gaeilge live on Shaw and you, O Ardwaha, Togu a Grishvik Linen me in Ardwaha Has. I learned the Irish language as a second language, and I spend a lot of time in the Gaeltacht, where the Irish language is the home language. That's what we call Tuber na Gaeilge, the well of pure Irish. And it's great to be on a panel and to have the native tongues of our various lands being placed center stage, even though we're also going to use English as well. So, Gurakiad Maigav.
Tríomh is me sé Aonach Mhacha as cófaisteacht na Hailíní tradiisiúnta in Gaeilge le Energia, agus tá an taithí orm go tugadh an sean seo dú gá fhísiciúil a chumú faithníonn sean scoill seo. Is breá am a bheith capú ceol agus chum mé an bhéal seo faithine Anamchairde.
The Choctaw-Irish connection is meaningful to so many, including myself. My name is Ciara O'Donnell, and I am the current Choctaw Ireland program recipient. The clips you are currently viewing are from my chief's time in Ireland, specifically Cork, Middleton, and Dublin. I am so happy to share with you all the story that has been a point of pride for me since I was a child. My mother raised me with the knowledge that I am both Choctaw and Irish. She also taught me of the Choctaw gift to the Irish. It is something I have always enjoyed sharing, and I'm happy to share with you all today. This gift was an act that brought our ancestors together to help out of kindness and compassion. This was a gift of $170, which would be $5,000 today, to a famine-ravaged Ireland in 1847. This was shortly after my tribe had arrived in Oklahoma, having walked the Trail of Tears. Our people's stories are very similar, both having suffered, having been oppressed, and working to reestablish their cultures and strengthen their people. The gift has always been remembered, and Ireland has continued to show their gratitude. One way it has been commemorated is the Kindred Spirits statue in Middleton. This was specifically chosen as Middleton was the location in which the gift was received from my tribe. The statue is a circle of 9 steel feathers representing a bull. It is a beautiful monument to commemorate our kindred spirits. I would now like to share with you all a few short videos from my tribe to share our culture, and I hope you can experience the similarities between our people. Thank you.
In the Choctaw culture, dances tell stories of the circle of life, like the playful spirit of a child, the courtship tradition, and two uniting as one, to defending one's family, tribe, and community. Choctaw dance, celebrating faith, family, and culture.
Lord, we just lift up all of those, Father, that have walked the Trail of Tears and that gave their lives for us, that we could have the freedoms that we have today, Father. As we walk this walk today, be with those, Lord, our elders and our young people, and just give us strength and guidance, and let us always remember the great nation that we are, Father, that you allowed us, that you have given us, and all good things come from you. In Jesus' blessed name we pray. Amen.
Culture and tradition is only a generation away, that we may not have it anymore. Just one generation can change a whole entire community, a whole entire tribe, by something that one generation does or does not do.
The history of Choctaw stickball goes way back, long time ago, back in the ancient times. Villages, other tribes, other clans from all over would gather together for one of those huge games. Sometimes there were hundreds of ball players out there playing on the field.
Without our traditionals, we won't be where we're at. There's some things that some of them want to change, and they go about changing that. Sometimes there are things that is more important not to change, and it lets you know where you stand, because it tells who you are and where you come from. And in order to know where you are going, you have to know where you've come from. So that there's why I say, some things are more important not to change.
These girls are more than just a face and a wave and a smile. We have bright minds. We are the future of not just Choctaw Nation, not just Chickasaw Nation, not just all these other nations that have pageants. We are the future of this country, of these people, and we have to be seen as more than just a face. We have to engage in conversation because we have ideas and we have a future. Our culture, our heritage is built up on this resilience and fighting through adversity, and people trying to take away what we have and what we've learned, and still continuing to teach our customs and still continuing to fight.
It was Irish soldiers driving Choctaw from their land, who spoke of the Irish hunger Choctaw saw to understand. It echoed in their hearts as they'd suffered under Jackson's pen. They gathered all they could part with to ease suffering in other men. To the sound of ancient woodpipes, to the rhythm of the drum, a pulse was sent through the universe. We were meant to beat as one. 4,000 miles is a long way to people you don't even know, to show the kind of charity Choctaw were never shown. Betrayed by broken promises, their compassion still survived. They blazed a trail for humanity, giving all to keep some alive. To the sound of ancient woodpipes, to the rhythm of the drum, a pulse was sent through the universe. We were meant to beat as one. History, kindred spirits emerge entwined, one thread of generosity tied to nations for all time. For no more lands of hunger, no more trails of tears. We give or we can plunder. The choice in is clear. To the sound of ancient woodpipes, to the rhythm of the drum, a pulse was sent through the universe. We were meant to beat as one. We were meant to beat as one.
Diahut, bonjour, hello. Merit Noden is Namdom. Margaret Newden, Indigenous cause. My name is Margaret Newden. Os Minnesota me, Tame Imo Hone, Milwaukee, is Anishinaabe, agus Aonach Mhacha. Minnesota nin Donjaba, nin da Minawaki nongum, api Kinomage Anishinaabe Gai Aonach Ndau. So I am giving you this recording as a greeting from Milwaukee, where I work. I am Anishinaabe and Irish, and it is in the spirit of connecting those two backgrounds that I want to share with you a poem that I wrote in Anishinaabe when to compare the stories of Cuchulainn and Winnebuju. Both are cultural heroes that I think are well known throughout the world, but they often are not compared, and they have things in common that I've thought would be useful to share with folks. So I have a poem. I'll read it to you, and you can enjoy hearing Anishinaabe one. I do not speak fluent Irish at all. I can work toward that in the future. It's a pleasure to be a part of this gathering, and it's been inspiring to learn even more about Irish language as part of the journey of doing this work. But for today, I'll be reading you this poem about the birth of Cuchulainn and Winnebuju, first in Ojibwe, and then I'll give you the Ojibwe translation. Mewenja apiasanik adazoke waban. Ondadas in iban Cuchulainn minua Winnebujon. Minongum geabe mikwenemongidwa. Beisho michigame minua Locknock. Long ago, when the stones told stories, Cuchulainn and Winnebuju were born, and still today they are remembered near the Great Lakes and Loch Ness. Bemodazajik, Bikugamagong ga ojitoat, Gizasun jimona denamawat, ejimaskawazit, Anongon jinagra wabandamoat, ejinawinagonazit, Nibudowat, ga gikenamawat, eji adazokewat. The ones who built mounds to celebrate the science of the sun and study the signals of the distant stars wove all of what they knew into their stories. Winnebujo gigashki on jinagazot, nitawagit, jimigajat, mishabijuan, minuaku kolanan, gi minnesanoazinit, nanakananit, ogichi animushaman kulan. Winnebuju, he could change his form, grew up to battle the water panther, and Cuchulainn, who became a hero in war, defended himself against the hound of Culann. Apaneago oshkikwewak giayang guamigoat winona windamagot ogashiman wigwaming ditina gaskanos atagot apia apaintsin misquabakuminaquajiganing. Manado osan wa ijichigenet, wenji angoat anisha ikwewak. As always, young women were warned. Winona was told by her mother in a birch lodge to be careful, and Detna heard the whispers of a little man in a copper cup about spirit fathers entering human mothers. Ogozis son ningabi anoat, bejikwa ga ondadazit, nidash ogashaman, bash kojiat. Ogozis son gizis nisoching dagoshanit oma, ishqua gakamenenit gae matagwa wigot. The son of the west wind was born once as his mother burst open. The son of the sun arrived 3 times after dying of illness and being crushed. Guizanson ga gekno amage waban gaebi gabe ayaying, bebekan nojamoran gae nojawewanan. Nasap, ni ganit tamawiyangidwa, ejbimadaziang, midash, jabosh kamang, gagige, minawanagoza Boys raised to become teachers across time, different prayers and different pray. The same ones who can lead us through life and through doorways to the afterlife. Gumigwech winenim, gabizendawiak nongum, optical gitchenendum, mompi biayang, oma wasmoyang. It's really a pleasure to have you listen to this today and to be here, even though we're in strange electronic space. I hope that one day many of our paths will cross and we continue to connect Anishinaabe in Anishinaabe and ways of being Anishinaabe and Aonach and keep these things going. Miigwech.
Seo óran is scríú Finbar McGee dar banam Emma, a cílíonn tuairt faoi na teachtá a thug Jonathan, ag muintir na hÉireann le linn an Gárta Mhór, a chur réamán ó Chiarann Gaeilge.
Bula mé gur saidirí an Mhacha ag glanú seachtach as a dír. A lór faoin ágra sa bhalla sé héag na seachtaíonn na grí. Well buile an cóha iontu mar dullang siad faoi Fan Jackson sé crinní daró acu go méú faoisiú ag am rathrathal. Le crón na BBA mar le rahim ó na dromí. Seolú cúis leir fod na crinne buile bhuile gom bhuile sin. Is fada an tathróil ar an iarthar dó daoine nach bhfuil is céad. Grí mór na féile léirú nar taispeanú na seachtaí héin. Tá go clú le na ngealtain is ach bhair an cóha in na grí. Ag ceanródaí ach tar son le gine tuairt arú acu le Gaeilge beo. Le crón na BBA mar le rahim ó na dromí. Seolú cúis leir fod na crinne buile bhuile gom bhuile sin. As naimú am cardan nua sna a cruhí carhanis a cangal ar na sin go jo. Goró jeirú le tíorthaí an Gárta jeir le Conairí na ngeoir. Is féidir len thóir nó slád a dhéanú ime an réite roin. Le crón na BBA mar le rahim ó na dromí. Seolú cúis leir fod na crinne buile bhuile gom bhuile sin. Buile bhuile gom bhuile sin.
Aha, bonjour, and no mag in a dug. Gi kagwaja me gu e weni de be ga giga doyan de dajin daman ani ne jitchageyang oma mekanako minising ne jaganashi me dash. So my name is Michael Sullivan. I come from the Lakota band of Lake Superior, Ojibwe, North American Indians in northern Wisconsin. And I'm the resident linguist for the Wadukadading Ojibwe Language Immersion School, which is a K-8 Ojibwe immersion school where we educate our children in the Ojibwe language. So we have a number of similarities with our relatives across the water in Northern Ireland area, and the journey they've been on in regard to their language reclamation and revitalization. So the parallels you can draw between the two communities are striking. So in our community, what we're doing is we're working against the clock in a sense. We're racing time to document as much of our language, learn as much of our language from our last generation of native speakers. So we've had a imperfect transmission in our community with regard to language acquisition, and it's been about 2 generations now to where Ojibwe was a home language in the majority of our communities. So what we're doing is working with our elders while simultaneously educating our children. And we have a number of challenges that you may imagine, that kind of work. As the world moves more and more towards English, and it makes it a little harder and harder for us who work with endangered minority languages. The thing about our language for Ojibwe people, you know, they say in general linguistics, a language is just a tool for communication, just a tool for communication among people of a similar community. Well, that's compounded in our language with the tool is a spiritual tool for communication. So all of our traditional ceremony, all of our traditional song and dance, all of our rituals and coming of age things from life until death, all of those things require the use of our Ojibwe language. And so a big part of our identity, a big part of our culture, a big part of who we are is tied to our language. And we're working really hard to reverse that shift we've seen over the years. So we have children now who are educated in Ojibwe, many of whom get Ojibwe at home with their families or grandparents. And we teach them everything in Ojibwe. You know, if we just had an election, big election year, so we had to talk politics in Ojibwe, which, you know, hasn't always been a very common topic for Ojibwe chatter. So innovative things like that, you know, we're constantly working with our elders and our curriculum development on how we can sort of recontextualize our language and bring it up to modern kind of usage. So we stay pretty busy working on our language and working with our elders and teaching our kids. So we're pretty proud of the work we're doing over here, and really happy to be included in this this show or this documentary that they're doing over there, and the whole relationship with the Choctaw. It's fascinating, and you know, we're real grateful to have been included as Ojibwe people and to share a little bit of our language and our music and our way of life with our relatives over there. You know, myself, I'm of an Irish father and an Ojibwe mother, so I have some Irish lineage. So I want to send greetings out to all my Irish relatives across the pond. Hope to meet you soon.
An tárann seo tá mar gá cheálan is an rúta an Gaeilge, seo sean árann sa Gaeilge. Agus ar bhaid amháin tá sínta simplí níl annach a bhéarsa ach tá fun ionta casta ionta jazz leis. Curann an duine san árann seo ceist an rúta an Gaeilge nó ag an Gaeilge agus an wacatú marún, an wacatú an spéirmhan seo. Agus an sin chicken an fagra rás Aonach Mhacha an spéirmhan agus tá sí go maith. Ach teara go bhhain fan árann seo go bhfuil sé lé leis na hafrinn seo ruúnda a bhí uainéiring agus ní ró ceadaigh na daoine afran a bheith a dtithe pobl acu mar sin dó héad siad amach faoin túí agus bheith afran tíomh le Carraig bheith an Carraig mar altar fahanne an rud seo. Agus hir me go raibh sé seo iontach ar an fahanne ácaid mar seo na tá an spradaltacht sin a bunch leis an árann agus gur bé lear an árann an Carraig seo agus an talú agus atá gceist ag sin bhfuil sé sin idirnach. second garig now and wakatu hen mogra now and wakatu githe agus finne agus gev namra now and wakatu and stu avan bahura spavil shabla now and wakatu mo Valentine nan will she da koi maratham da vie second garig esta hanik men dobra esta hanik me gile agus finne agus gev na me esta hanik me en stu avan bahura spavel shabla esta hanik me da Valentine agus níl si da clí mar a
Now, will we go around and just say quickly, what does language revitalization mean to you? We'll just go around again. So, Jerry, we'll start with you.
I think language revitalization for me is about life itself. I think for a lot of our people, we have that, there's a cultural disconnection, there's a spiritual disconnection, and I see language and land as being part and parcel of the same thing. So when we talk about language revitalization, that tells me that there's a spiritual, a land disconnect with the land. The Kimenam, we're not communicating with the land, who holds all this knowing and the memories of our families and our people. So I think that spatial exile, creates these problems for me. Looking at it from a spiritual or the spatial exile rather, and the social problems that it created will be mitigated by knowing the language of the land. That's what language revitalization means to me. Miigwech.
Thanks for that. Thank you. Next, we'll go to you, Patrick.
Tirgan Changa, Tirgan Anam, the country without its tongue or its language is without its soul. So that would overlap with what Jerry is saying, that language is part of a kind of a spiritual connection to the land and to life itself. And I think the theme that Lily announced, that there's a spiritual depth inside the politics of language revitalization, is one of the real benefits of listening to the language spoken by Irish speakers and Ojibwe speakers today, to see the depth of the soul that is still carried by the language. The Creator, in whatever name the Creator is given, the Creator has given us language to be unique and to speak our words with respect for the earth. And so the consequence of language revitalization was all the way to the attempt to preserve the earth and preserve the memory of the earth. So again, the naming of the landscape, when you don't know the names, shows an amnesia, which leads to a kind of a sickness in any culture. And so I think the question of language revitalization, as Jerry mentioned and Lily mentioned, is as deep a question as we can ask as human beings with a spiritual consciousness.
Thank you. Now we'll go to Megan.
Thank you. So for me, when I think of language revitalization, the big thing that comes up is emotions and how it feels to speak the language, to know the language, but especially how the relationships feel around us and the relationship with ourselves. And so where that goes to for me is teachings that have been shared with me about identity for Anishinaabe ways of knowing. And so what I know is that there's 4 main pieces, one of them being language and how we speak it. And, it also includes our clan, our name, and our purpose, which always relates to how we help people. If we're speaking a language that doesn't value all relationships and all life around us, it really changes our worldview, and it changes the way that we interact, not only viewing others, but ourselves. And so also with that identity, a really, really big thing is our strengths and weaknesses, and just knowing who we are and how to go around in life and what resonates with us as individuals and as groups, and especially remembering that others' strengths aren't our weaknesses. And that creates that kindness, or it allows that kindness to live, right? That kindness is there. It's just if we decide to use it or not. And so that's what I think of. And then it stems into so many things and so many beautiful things. So I've just started learning the language regularly, like I go to a class, and I'm very thankful for it. And, the feelings that come with it, there's no way to explain it. So I'm very thankful that I'm walking the road that I am and that I get to learn. So miigwech.
Thank you. We'll go to Darren next.
Thank you. So what language revitalization to me, what it sparks is an understanding of who I am. And a way Patrick sort of touched on it earlier, is that there's an Ojibwe phrase that we use and that I was taught by many language speakers, is Manitu Kiminiku's Yang Anishinaabe Moen. That the Creator gave us this gift. And for us as Anishinaabe, we understand that language is just one of many gifts that the Creator gave us to use. And if we don't use those gifts that are given to us, we become unfocused, unbalanced, and that tends to be the root of what Akwesi sickness is. And so for us, or for me, using Anishinaabe Moen helps heal me and helps heal my community. It's language revitalization is all about healing. It's about moving forward past all this historic trauma that we've gone through, the attacks on our language, and by just physically speaking, like where we're remembering something. It's another imperative is like don't forget where you come from. So language revitalization is embodied in those 2 Anishinaabe phrases, and not forgetting who we are. Like my intro that I gave, part of it is Anishinaabe Ojibwe Ndao, that tells you that I'm from the Anishinaabe Ojibwe nation. For us, we have to remember that language is essential to nationhood. It's one of 7 principles that the Anishinaabe understand that express nationhood. So there's the belief in Manitou, so belief in God, Creator, whatever you want to call him or her. Our relationship to Aki, so our relationship to land. the people that we have, the Anishinaabe Ojibwe, Anishinaabe Moen, of course, our language, the teachings that we've been given on how to live, Gagibi Ijese Maguin, our history from the Big Bang to now, and Ishkewanan, our ways of doing. When we talk about language revitalization, it's healing that understanding and then coming to this place where we remember that we are nations too, and that we have a special gift to use. And I always remember that the elders that I from my home community, Mark Thompson is one. He's passed on, and he would always speak to me and say, "Abachuyan, get in the way." Always use the language he would tell me, and that's the only way we're going to move forward. So revitalize. That's for me. That's what revitalization is. It's a process of moving forward. It's a process of healing. It's a process of remembering who we are and our place in the world, in the universe.
Raymond, you want to finish us off?
For me, in the Irish context, language revitalization is not a lifestyle choice. It's something that I have to do and I want to do. And thankfully, I also work in a job that allows me to be centrally involved in the revitalization of my native language. And I loved what Jerry said, and Darren also mentioned it. And indeed, Patrick mentioned it too, this connection to the land. It's almost as though that unlike other aspects of nature, we're hovering across the land, and if we have anything that actually represents roots into the land, it would be our language, which connects us to the land and connects us to our ancestors who are in the land, even though their spirits are with us. But it also allows, it's almost like a compass for the future. And language revitalization is working in Ireland. We want more, we want better results. And there's far, far more Irish medium education than when I started school. I couldn't have gone to an Irish medium primary school, for example, but my daughter went to one. And there are now 40 Irish medium schools in the small corner of Ireland, what we call the north of Ireland here, the Republic of Ireland, where the Irish language is the first language and enjoys full support of the state. In the north here, the Irish language does not have an official status, but broadly speaking, the headlines would indicate that there is definitely more Irish language activity, more Irish language being spoken, more support for the Irish language. In fact, the Irish language is often seen as a chic aspect of our culture, and it is drawing more and more people of varying ages into its orbit. But we want more, and we want greater protection for the Irish language, and we want the Irish language to be available and open to all, which it is, not only on the island of Ireland, but throughout the world. So that's what the Irish language revitalization means to me.
Sula chummi an píosa seo, bhí mé géisteacht le ceol dúchasach Americanach, agus is é sin an ceol is beagán fan seo. Ní fan Aonach é, nó ní fan Americanach é, an máscin den dá cultúr.
Zuru tala